So this is Mantic North America, recording the podcast live here at Adepticon 2016. Chopper, I'm Johnny P, and of course, Ronnie Renton.
Hello, everyone.
He's sort of infamous around these parts. You're going to be taking questions from this possibly unruly crowd. Are you ready to field those?
Oh, easy. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, you don't know what they're going to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ready. They're angry mouth. No, everyone's gathered here for Mantic Open Night. There's, I don't know, about 40, 50 people here. Going to play all kinds of different games going on. Chopper, how do you want to kick things off? Do you want to start with the Q&A?
Let's start with the Q&A.
Okay.
Who's ready for some questions?
So, right off the bat, any questions for Ronnie about Deadzone, Kings of War, Dreadball? Joe?
Is there a plan or a timeline for a Nightmare Army?
Yes.
So the question was a plan or a timeline. I'm going to repeat it because I don't know if you can pick it up.
What's the timeline?
We want to use the quarter slide.
So a Nightmare Army's the question. Plan or timeline?
Yeah, I'll throw that. I'll be political about it. So we've just released the Abyssals in February, which was a plastic kick-started army.
Yeah,
so
they look great.
They were very good and they've been very popular. And what's really nice to see is that Kings of War is now becoming popular through our retail stores. You know, the Kickstarter was great. It gave us the funds to make sure we could fund some new plastics. But really, our long-term vision is to work with our trade partners. So there's thousands of shops around the world selling our stuff. And so the Abyssals was the first new plastics in the second edition. So we were looking very carefully at what that was saying to us about the demand for stores getting behind the range and being able to sell it and make sure it had an audience. And it went very, very well. We've had terrific sales. We totally sold out of Succubi, which is some going when it's a plastic kit. So, you know, it really was fantastic. We've reordered some more, which meant that we were then able to get quite confident about upcoming new Kings of War armies. So the three that are green lit right now is we thought it'd be quite fun to bring a dead army that's just been killed back to life again. See if you can work that one out. So,
Just been killed.
Yeah, wrong genre. So we are going to be doing the Army of Dust. We're going to be taking our plastics and doing some metal conversions, really nice quality metal conversions, and unlocking that army so that people can run down the ones next to the Ophidian, so there's an Army of Dust there. So that we can do quite quickly, so we'll get that turned around. I think we're then looking at filling out the Neridians with the Trident Realm Army. We've just released next month is going to be the Nature Army. So they're coming out, the Salamanders in plastic and there's the Naiads. So we're going to fill out the Naiads army, and just because it's funny, they're going to have a Fishman army, you know, or Fish Lady army mostly. But yeah, so the forces, and then I think the third one that we're going to start sculpting in its entirety is probably going to be like resin and metal, because it's going to be quite a kind of premium, hardcore army. We'll be looking at maybe Nightcrawlers. So I'm sorry that's a long answer, but it gives you the next 4 armies that are coming out. Started with Nature, Armies of Dust, Trident Realms, and then Night Stalkers.
All secrets revealed.
There you
it
go.
is.
I've just shot them up.
That's the whole show. Got it all.
Thanks a lot.
Any other questions for Ronnie? Brian?
Do you have any news on the Steel Behemoth?
News on the Steel Behemoth.
Yes.
That's it. Answered.
There's a pattern coming out. I'm enjoying this. So the first thing was we got it sculpted digitally and sent it out to everybody. To a couple of the resin makers, because we thought it was big pieces, let's put it in resin, and none of them would quote. They all said, no, it's too big, we're not making it, it's massive. Well, exactly, and that's what we could understand. And so when we digitally printed it, actually it's a really nice size, it's not that big. So now we've sent it back out again. So it's been made, it's been 3D printed, and it's now out to get quotes. So on the next time we do some Kings of War, here's some half a dozen random kits for like the whites and so on and so forth. Or we come to the dwarfs, it definitely should be there. So looks nice. And when I saw it 3D, I think there's a couple of things that I think just needed tweaking. I thought it looked a little clean, a little bit. There was a bit of horns on it and stuff, and I said, dwarfs don't do horns so much. They do big like wedges and metal things and everything. So maybe a couple of tweaks, or they'll ignore me and you'll see it with horns. So you'll know how much control I have these days when you see the kit. But it is on its way. Should look cool.
Happy with that answer? Good. Yeah,
What about the mammoth for the ogres?
the mammoth for the ogres.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the big, great surprise that we had. I mean, the dragon wasn't a surprise because it came out of Dungeon Saga and we knew that was in plastic and we could put some riders in it. So that was planned. But was the greater Obsidian Golem, which I think was just an amazing kit. And the way it came together has given us that more things at the scale that breaks you from 28mm, 30mm figures up to something that really is dramatic. And I think with the volumes we're looking at now, I think, suddenly giants become exciting, mammoths and all that stuff. I mean, they are those things that they can't quite be the pricing we want them to be. They have to be what they're going to be because they'll have to be in resin. But I think when you're adding one of them to your army, and as long as it's understandable price and not like £9 million, they can work. So I think we really are looking at coming back to the armies. One of the things I'd love to see, end of this year or next, would be a giants, monsters, and siege equipment type, big scale war machines and things like that. I think it'd be great fun to just do your mega battles, Apocalypse, Kings of War. Yeah, we've got it perfectly balanced, beautifully playable. Let's break it! Yay! So yeah, hopefully we can unlock some of those really big kits.
Yeah, question over there.
Could you tell us about any plans to open up a U.S.-based distribution center? Or Mantic direct?
So plans to open up a U.S.-based distribution center.
Yeah, well, we've got enough problems with running one, so let's just double them and run two. I mean, as you know, for the last 5 months, we've been, struggling to catch up with the demand for Kings of War. As fast as we're ordering it and getting it made, it's going out the front door. We are ordering probably bonkers numbers, but it is lovely. And it hit at the same time as Dungeon Saga was out to Kickstarter backers, and that was not prepared and packed well enough. Right from China, their picking line was not accurate enough. You get good ones of those, it's just perfect. And it wasn't. We've now had lots of inspections done to make sure that it actually came from China's right. And then even when it hit us, we had open boxes. We didn't check enough. So that hit at the same time, and we had kind of two. The customer service side is now sorted out. The guys have gone through 1,500 back orders. There's a few items to be shipped. That's some resin that was a bit out of stock. So we've just ordered it in. We've got some print coming in. The Black Fortress is coming. But we know what it is. We know what we need to do, and we're getting it done. Everybody, as always, will get everything. Zach's done such a good job that there's now people like missing items from Mars Attacks and Deadzone 1 going, oh, now I've got you. Can you send me through? So it's all getting cleaned up, which is how we want it to be. And going forward, we're putting far more checks in place to make sure it's more accurate. We are now having conversations with people about when we do The Walking Dead, the whole range is being made and completely packaged in a new packaging style with clear fronts, and the box is going to have a clear slot on it. So you can actually see the quality of the miniatures inside it, and it shows what it is that you're getting. And the booster sets are going to be the same, because in each booster set you're going to get the hero, major hero, minor hero, and a walker, plus the character cards, plus equipment cards, so that you can just keep expanding your arsenal of weapons and what have you. That's all going to get completed at the point of tooling. So we are looking now for shipping agents that can bring that stuff in and make sure it goes straight out accurately and quickly to stores and to distribution hubs. So not quite the whole thing yet, but certainly on the radar, and within the next couple of years, if the US continues to grow as it is, I think it is our biggest market, and I think it's not even got started yet. Every time we come here, there's twice as many people, there's twice as many at every attendance. Joe's getting new accounts, taking the stock in the line every day, literally every day. So it's positive, and I think we've got things like Walking Dead coming down the line. Kings of War still got a lot of legs in it, and Deadzone, I'm hoping, and we'll talk later, is going to be a massive product for the US market.
All right. Somebody in the back had a question?
Yeah, I was just
Yep.
asking, wondering, with all the genres that you guys are doing, are you guys thinking about doing anything that's historically based?
So historical based
Yeah,
genre.
historical based. I mean, principally, we've got two worlds, two universes. One is Mantica, which is our fantasy world, and we don't do any fantasy games outside of that. so that each time we go back in, like Dungeon Saga, adds a whole load of new characters and adds lots of story to a specific part. And when we do Kings of War, we talk about the kind of whole world. And if we ever did, say, soon a Kings of War fantasy skirmish game, that would be set in the same world so that your models can go from one to the other. And then we've got the Warpath universe, where you've got Deadzone, you've got Warpath, both Firefight and the epic scale game, and even Dreadball is set in there, so that certain people take their Dreadball sphere teams and convert them into fighting teams for Deadzone. There's lots of hobby opportunities, and we like that. We're going to be doing historical Kings of War. Is coming out in a couple of months' time, which is going to be a Kings of War approach to historical wargaming. So not terribly historically accurate, but fast and a lot of fun with lots of death. Other than that, there is no other plans at the moment for any historical product. We're not saying never, but I think we've got quite a lot on our plates. We like to build out the worlds that we've got. We've got half a dozen ideas. I think it's more likely we change the scale from 30 mil to 10 mil and dip back into Kings of War and Fantasy and Warpath that way.
Great. Question over here.
Ronnie, we were talking a little bit earlier. Let's put the nail in the coffin. Let's get a fantasy skirmish war game out there.
Fantasy skirmish war game.
Fantasy skirmish war game.
You just mentioned it, so it's not off the table, right?
It's not off the table.
I don't see it on the table, but
well, I mean, if we were to do such a thing, I think Deadzone's got me very excited right now, which is a sci-fi skirmish war game. I know there's one in that slot where you're using 10 figures and they're dying quick and the game's played within an hour with the scenery and the terrain, but maybe it will be set in a kind of castle where you're just chasing after treasure, and there'd be small groups of hard plastic warriors, so that you could then use those hard plastic sprues in your elite armies. So Iron Guard, for example, may well be a great example of a kit. Do some more of the beautiful terrain sets that we've got in the Dungeon Saga. So you could have the treasure chests and the kind of objective counters which can drop back into your Kings of War game. And I think that would be a great way of recruiting even more people into Kings of War. Because when you look at a whole, I've got to paint 200 figures, but actually if I can paint 10 and they start going, and then you go from there. So it's definitely on my list. It's pretty high up. I'm very excited by it. People now quite like fantasy, so it seems kind of hot right now. I don't know. People seem quite pleased with Kings of War, so, you know.
So what day does it come out?
Next week.
Okay. Yeah, question up front.
Is there any plans for tournament support for any of your games?
Tournament support for the games?
Yeah, what does tournament support mean?
Actual tournament rules, as opposed to just casual play rules, rules for running a tournament, things along the lines of maybe prize support for tournaments sponsored by the company, things along that line.
Yeah, sure, cool. So on our website now, there's three levels of tournament support and organised play support. The basic level is a digital download of how to run a tournament, how for you and your mates to get together. You can download some certificates. So if there's 4 or 5 of you and it's a club night and you want to have some fun, it's all right there. That's there for Dreadball and Kings of War. And we're just going to roll out Deadzone as it comes round. The next level pack up is I think like a between 8 or 12 people pack. And the idea is you get a cool few little freebies, the instructions are printed off for you, and so are the certificates. And then you've got a 24 set one where you can actually get a Blaine trophy as well. So you can mount that up on a plinth, or you can paint it or whatever you want to do. And you've got a whole set of tournament packs. So they're available. They're priced at cost, just to get them there and get them in the post. So they're there. And one of the things we're going to be doing is, as you order those, we'll drop a couple of bits of prize support in there, so that covers that as well. And then, as much as it goes, we're always putting some prize support in for those that are having great little organised tournaments, and the attendees know that there's going to be a nice certificate and some of the other bits. As we're getting a little bit bigger, we're thinking about trying to get each year a pack with something really unique that's in each one of those. It sounds easy, but actually getting something that's both cool, but you want to go and get from multiple tournaments, because you find the same person might go to 5, and when you've got 3 Blaine trophies, you're like, nah. Do I want more? So how do you keep it exclusive and fun and collectible?
More Blaines is good.
More Blaine.
I have 0, but I want more.
Oh, well, there you go. You play better. So, so it's definitely something we're looking at, and we've also got organised play sets out for stores so that they can demo games, because that's the other way, is making sure that people are always recruiting into the new hobby. So what we've got now is a first step, and we definitely want to do more, but it takes time to make sure that the more is a lot better in a kind of settled format that people understand.
All right. You had a question here?
Yeah, you've got battle zones for Deadzone, Warpath to be. What about a fantasy version? You've got the modern with Mars Attacks.
Yeah, we've got two of the 3 covered. I have a soft spot for scenery. I think we could do a great. They don't think a 3x3 would work. I think a 3x3 would work just fine. Stone one side, wood, tool it up. I learned a trick from Dave Andrews, which is, you right size the doors and windows, but you slightly undersize the actual building so that it has a scale on the tabletop that feels about right. If I get my way and I can get the engineering sorts to get behind, or can find a plan with some tiles that will work, it may well appear in the kind of Kings of War fantasy skirmish war game, was such a thing ever happen, which would be cool.
You could extend Dungeon Saga into it too.
Yeah, I mean, we actually looked
It's a
when.
street.
Yeah, well, exactly, we could. When we did Dungeon Saga, we looked at doing plastic tiles, but it did 2 things. It didn't actually work perfectly for the game that it was, because there's a lot of little nooks and right angles, and you need those to allow people to lap round and to get that, because actually what works is nice long straight corridors. But for the game that the game was designed, it wasn't better than the cardboard, and it didn't have the kind of 3D feel and everything else. So and the second thing was, it put the price from 50 quid to 150 quid, because there's a whole load of very heavy plastic in there, shipping and everything else. So we thought, no, you know what, that it's not right. And if people want to do a dungeon, there's Dwarven Forge or something else out there, which they're role players for role players and everything else. When you get into wargaming terrain, well, that's back into our domain and something that we're really keen on looking at. So it's right on my list. I'd love to do it. When fantasy skirmish, Kings of War skirmish game gets close, I can really then push on the studio and say, I want to see some options, I want to see some things. This is now the time to look at it. If we can't make it in that, it could be something that we can drop into later. But I think it would give it an aesthetic that would, like with Deadzone, look remarkable.
Right. What's a quid? No, I'm kidding. I think we're going to give something away.
Pound.
Oh, pound.
Pound.
You want to give away something?
Yeah, let's get some
Free stuff? All right. Joe in the back, raffle time?
Raffle time.
All right. So Joe's going to draw a number, ticket. Everyone has tickets?
Oh,
Yeah. Pat, what do we get?
we got the new Bruiser blister.
Joel Blueser.
And also a Mantic point on the back,
It's got 1 Mantic point.
which I collect them, but
All right, Joe does not want to give that away.
Joe's requesting-
That's the booby prize. That's coming out later. That's going to be.
Joe wants something bigger.
Okay, so now the redo, Legendary Heroes of the Crypts,
Okay.
Dungeon Saga.
Good upgrade.
That is for Brian Mitchell.
Hey, Brian Mitchell,
Extreme. Third cast.
the extreme one. So we'll be giving prizes away all night.
All night.
All right. Any other questions? Yeah, Kara.
Rules for all the versions of Blaine.
For which game?
So many versions of Blaine out there. Rules for different ones.
She wants the rules for the gold one.
No one has that. Oh wait, you do.
That's about 4 inches tall, just in case anyone's not.
So rules for Blaine, Kings of War specifically.
We have a couple of them, but Kings of War, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, another we're not allowed to do the one with the laser gun in Kings of War, are we? We've got to.
That's OP.
So he's the Blaine on Dinosaur.
Yeah,
Is there no rules for him?
yeah, that's really cool.
It is cool.
Let's make him up right now. Right now, Kara. What do you want it to be?
Stat line, please.
He's really fast.
Really?
Matt!
I've done it. We're just waiting for Chris Palmer to publish it.
There you go, you hit it
There you go.
first.
So there are rules coming.
The little hobbit at the back, that's the new operations manager of Mantic.
Mantic.
So,
Did you forget?
The new operations manager of.
you know what Nearly said. And and he also, did you write or did you argue the Lessio or did Nick Williams write Kings of War? I don't know.
Nobody knows.
So that's Matt. So from now on, if there's any problem with deliveries, if anything's out of stock, if you've been bad customer service, speak to Matt. His email is matt.gilbert@manticgames.com. Email him.
And lose Ronnie's email.
Yeah, correct. Delete me off Messenger. I don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, okay. So apparently it's been written, and we're just waiting for Palmer to publish it.
All right, Joe, you had one?
Are there any more plans for novelizations or books with more background fluff for any of the systems?
More background books.
Yes. You keep falling for it every time.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. Books. We really want to do books. It's something. So we're at an open day like this in the UK. It's just about 6 months after Deadzone had come out, maybe a year, and people asked me the same question. You got more? But I said, okay. How many people here? Let's do it. How many people here back Deadzone 1? Put your hand up if you did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. Okay. Yeah. Put your hand up if you went and downloaded Containment Protocol, the book. Okay? All about 100% of people that backed the Kickstarter went through a whole painful thing. How many of you have read it? 3.
Half.
There you go, yeah.
Halfway.
Half-ish, ish. 25. So it's great. It's like we've written this book. It's really. I had to read it. I read it before we put it out, and it's because you kind of get it digitally, and you. Lee, you've read it. Good. Yeah. There was a good mix.
Yeah.
There was a shrug.
Yeah. There was. I can remember like 4 of the stories really clearly. There's good stuff, and there was one from each of them, and the stories kind of crisscrossed, and we edited them. And it's actually one of those things that we all want more, but it's getting into the right format. So I think if we're going to do them, we have to put them out as books, so that people can physically get them, take them to the toilet, take them on the train, and read them the right way.
As a truck driver, I really request audible copies of these books.
Audiobooks of them.
Yeah, well, someone told me it's not actually that hard to get those done. Actually, voice actors just pick them up, and you can pick them up.
Well, you could do them as well.
Yeah.
You read them.
I can read them.
Yeah, why not?
The way you read them.
Yeah.
The cat sat on. So yeah, very, very keen to do more. We've got one coming with Warpath that we promised in the pledge, and the reason I did that was I knew that would mean we'd have enough for a print run. So my hope is that at the same time I'll go and get Containment Protocol done, because I'll go to a printer and say, I'll give you this as long as you promise to do this, which will be a lesser number because it's not there, but you pull the whole lot together. And then if they're really successful, if we get those out and people read them and enjoy them, we can then start looking at some more. But the hardest thing about books is getting a good editor who knows the background well enough. So you've not only got the writer, but also the editor to make sure that those two things really mesh very quickly, or they can turn into crap. That's the problem.
Quick shout out to our swag bag providers, Outrider Hobbies and Ironheart Artisans. So thanks to those guys for giving us cool stuff.
Yep, providing some really great things for your bags.
Check them out online, order counters, all kinds of cool stuff. All right, more questions.
Then we should play some games.
I got a quick question, Ronnie.
Okay, then we've got 2 more.
Is Dreadball dead?
Oh, snap!
Yeah.
No, but I think it's time for a second edition.
Okay, let's do it.
I think it's got 6 books now. It's got a main rule book with season 1 inside it, because we didn't know we were going to have seasons 2, 3. And I think seasons 2 and 3 were great. When it first came out, we knew there was new stuff. We had to get someone to put the rules. I think possibly when we did Extreme, we could have then perhaps put the next 3 season books together in one and given ourselves time. But the advantage of putting season books out gives you time to read them, to write them, and get them published. A couple of the books are now out of stock, so you can only get them digitally. It's definitely waned in terms of recruitment. 2013 was the year of Dreadball. It was just selling game after game after game after game. There was a real momentum behind it. I think we didn't do it any favours, because when we did the Extreme Kickstarter, We then had a year while we were getting everything tooled and all laid out and sent out, and that stopped it for a year. There was nothing new in the retail stores. The second reason was that the distributors did not hold enough stock. So we had the teams in stock, people wanted them, they were going into the stores asking for them, and the distributors never had them. So they'd order them on the end of the month, we'd ship them 50 teams. 2 days later, those 50 teams have gone to everyone's got them on pre-order, and the next 28 days, there is none in stock. And so a retailer would be saying, hey, I'll order that team, I'll get you Judwan team. The guy comes or the girl comes back into the store next week, have you got my Judwan team? No, they're out of stock. They're out of stock. And after 3 times, the person says, you know what, forget about it. And so people were so frustrated with not being able to get the stock. So one of the things we're really making sure doesn't happen with Kings of War is we're trying to say, hold some goddamn stock. People want these teams, they want please hold some stock. So as fast as we're bringing it in, Joe's working very hard to get it out to the distributors. The great news is we are now doing more sales direct to retailers than we are via distributors now. Because the big stores that know their toy soldiers can get it direct from us. We'll have it shipped to them within a week, and they can get the stock. And if we've got a stock problem, Joe can tell them when, so that they can tell their customer, no, they've not got that. It's going to be a couple of weeks. Come back in a few weeks' time, when we don't have it ideally right. So, I think that said, beautiful game system. A little bit clunky in terms of the 5 print. The campaign system was never quite as good as we'd have liked it to be. It wasn't quite as sticky as it should have been. And I don't think the MVPs and team roster gave kind of veteran hobbyists the choice they wanted. So it was great for getting in, not quite as sticky as it could have been. And I was talking to Lee and a few others over the last week or two about what we should do. The consensus is very clear about what needs sorting out. I don't think it'll be hard. I think it'll be great fun. So we're going to put a rules committee together, 4 or 5 guys, girls, some US, some UK, some European, make sure it comes together, get that printed. We've thought about, a small Kickstarter so we can add a couple of new teams or a couple of new positions within each team. Could be really good fun. Or just put it out as a book. The advantage of Kickstarter is it really does give it some noise. And I think it's very important that if we come back to Dreadball, we really get people excited about it, know we support it. It is a system, it will, edit and get it back out there because it's a great game.
Awesome. I love that answer. Yeah, right here. Yeah.
I hope don't dwarf, lad.
All right. We have a question over here.
Yeah. So, are there plans to release the rest of the models in the Kings of War original blue book for all the armies that are listed in there?
So more Kings of War models that are listed in the book.
Yes. Now, as you've seen, I saw it coming. So we've already, if you look, in the last 6 months, we've hit Kings of War twice with 5 different kits for 5 different armies on 2 separate occasions. So just last month, we had the Whites, we had a Slave Master for the Abyssal Dwarfs, we had, how many out here guys? Troll Bruiser.
The Vampires came out a little bit before that.
Yeah, Soul Reaver Infantry. So we are working methodically through so that we can fill that out and get those filled up, because it breaks my heart every time I see one of those sets in the army. So the sooner we can get rid of that, the better. So, and then we're going to go to war on rats. And now we're working through it, making sure you complete it. And then, it'd be good fun or something, like I say, popping something out where you've got filling in some of the armies from Uncharted Empires, and maybe an expansion book that adds cool new units or other things to it.
Let me get quite a couple questions over here. Yeah, in the back.
What do you think about doing more with Deadzone stuff? Because right now we know there's more species and more races, but it's only a small sampling of what we've actually seen.
So more races in Deadzone.
Yeah. Deadzone. Firstly, I'm really excited by Deadzone. I think the opportunity for this game is massive. I've seen what Frostgrave's done, which is a lovely kind of wizard-based skirmish game, and it's just done phenomenally because it's really easy buy-in, you get your models going, and so on and so forth. I think a lot of people have a lot of Deadzone stuff that they got a couple of years ago. The terrain is beautiful, but what seems to happen with Kickstarters, particularly when you go completely crazy and get a huge box the size of a pallet, arrive at your house, you go, right, what I'm going to do is take all of this out, check I've got it all, and then I'm going to go, whew. Well, no, you're not. You're going to fill in the missing items form and send it to us, because we'll have mispacked it. Then we'll send you that stuff. Then you put it all in a box and go, you know what, that is overwhelming. I'm going to put that over there and come back to it in about 6 months. And I know it took me a good year before I've painted my Deadzone scenery, and I think I started it because I knew Deadzone 2 was coming up and I'd always wanted to do it. You actually start doing things the second time you come back to them. The first time you just buy it. It's like, yeah, I've got it, yeah, right. So get it back out, pick your favourite faction, clip it together. You probably did do that. You probably clipped one of them together, glued it, bit frustrating because it was rustic, but it's assembled. Go and get a few buildings, put them together, go and download the PDF rulebook that we've put up there, and have a game. Because it is mesmerizing. The time it takes you from models to complete game is even quicker than Kings of War. And it's very fast, it's very intuitive. I'll tell my story about this time last year. I was at Adepticon. Deadzone was, even with the challenges that I thought the rules had with it, was still the best attended tournament we had last year. So straight in, because you know, you Americans, you love big tanks, guns, explosions, you know, more machine guns, the more you like it. I know how it works. So there was 20 of you here. I said, right, come on. I'm going to send you the rules. And I want, you know, I said this to JP.
Yep, you did.
And he gave so much contribution that he actually got named twice in the book. Lee and some of the other people that were there that were playing, I said, I'm going to send you this rule set. It's pretty controversial. It's quite different. But tell me what you think, because you've given up your time, you've painted your factions, you are enjoying this game. Do not be nice. If you don't like it, tell me. We can change them at this stage. 12 months from now, it's too late. Lee, true? And I sent him the rule set. So go away and play it, coach. He was a guy that
Yep.
And what was it like?
Well, it was a great game. I mean, everyone had their own take on what they wanted to see from Deadzone. Everyone had their own thing they would improve and tweak, and I think the input was sort of all put together. The rules committee then took it to the next level. So it was kind of cool to see the communal effort of it, you know.
And so we've got something much cleaner, much slicker. So then the weapons come through. There's not so much, you know, it really feels like just a great, fast, quick skirmish game where you're playing your opponent, not his army list, and you're not looking stuff up all the time. Very quickly you'll know what it is, and you can pop up here and get a shot down and, oh, that didn't work, or, oh, crumbs, they've done that to me. There's loot to go and pick up, which just gets you on the first 2 turns, so you're tempted. What I want to do is go there, but this loot is dragging me in this direction, and I can't ignore it. And it pulls you around. So I'm really, really hoping that Deadzone will become a really popular game. It's very playable, and what we've done is we've got a basic set. We've taken $20 out of the price, so it's now at that $80 price, not $100. And then we've got, every faction has a starter set and a booster. So there's not endless kind of things. You'll get off 20, 30 figures, and you've got all you need to pick your faction and strike force from there.
You'll see it back there now. There's one demo set laid out, and we have the rule books back there.
So you can see the whole thing that's there. What we're then going to do, that's the vanilla. That is, if there's a containment protocol because it's plague, or there's a containment protocol because it's rats,
Yep.
vermin,
Yep.
or even, these are the kind of vanilla versions of the army lists. And at this point, we're trying to get people to play, we're trying to get you going and making sure you have an even game, and it's very good fun. But then we are going to release source books that focus on a specific area. And in the basic system, there's new command dice, which are great. 5 of the things is like activate a guy, shoot, move extra, and you just burn these up. One of them is the splat. The 6 is a splat. And it allows your team to do something unique. So the enforcer splat allows them to re-roll any survival. So let's just say you've rolled badly, you survive, your enforcer's dead. You burn one of your splat dice, as long as you've got one, and you can re-roll the whole roll. All the dice, just roll it again. Suddenly the guy's back alive again, hurrah, because losing an enforcer is a very painful point thing.
And actually, even better, there's 3 enforcer leaders in the book. Each of those 3 have their own splat die. So when you build your force, you get to choose which one that fits your play style.
And which is great. So then when you dip into Infestation, which is where the vermin are coming out, this is a specific place. And then we start giving everybody a new army list with a new commander, a named commander, who now has their own unique splat dice. So, and that can be really off-field. So the Commander Howlett, you know, for example, if he was leading a group, he could have Close Assault Specialist splat, which would be really unusual for enforcers to have because they don't normally like those kind of combats. The plan being that as we visit different worlds and tell a whole backstory, which comes into that whole fiction stuff where people want to know more about the worlds and the universe, not only do you get a lot of background, but you're going to get 6 new tournament-approved army lists with specific characters, new units. It might mean that there'll be restrictions, so you can't take those, but you can double up these and you can add those. And then, if the Rules Committee have their way, you may well start seeing new races and new army lists and new variant races added in here. So that we can constantly comes, the idea being the first ones, hey, here's a new commander and 1 new squad, and you can refresh your whole force. So when you've played the same guy 3 or 4 times, hey, I'm just taking a new commander, I'm painting 3 new figures, and we're going to have a whole different game experience because you're just changing it out that way. In time, wouldn't it be great when we can and we will just keep adding new factions and new forces in there. So it could then start expanding out. I've seen Dreadball teams converted, and I think that would be great fun, and all that kind of hobby stuff is just awesome to see things happening.
Great. All right. Last question. Yep, Chris.
So you got these good universes. What about role-playing games?
All right, role-playing game, any of these universes we've got.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the truth is we've signed a deal to get a computer game done. Someone's doing that. Fortunately, it's not EA this time round, but, you know, that'll come. So I'd love to do some role-playing games, but I think actually the best way to get role-playing games is to get a company that knows how to do role-playing games and get them to do one for us. And I think now with the success that Kings of War's having and Dreadball's having and Deadzone's had, that's becoming viable for someone. You can say, look, we've got a big audience. They want to know more. I know certainly I'd buy one even if I wasn't going to role play with it because I just want to see it and look at it and it's a book and it get me excited. But I don't know enough about. Someone said to me the other day, because I asked the staff, I said, come on, I want to do some role play games. What should we do? One of them said, well, how crunchy do you want it? And I said, well, you know, I don't know what crunchy means. I mean, I don't want to chew on it, if that's what you're talking about, you know. I know crunchy, I said, we don't want crunchy. We're not looking for a kind of clever mechanic. What we want is a proven, tested mechanic that's really good fun, that people love, in a beautifully laid out book that tells you stories and gives you narrative and allows you to have fun and play role-play games. So I love to see them happen. I'd love to see it happen. I think it's a great audience, and new people would find out what we're doing, and some of them would come to the path of righteousness and collect toy soldiers. So on every level, it would be good.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming. We've got drinks over there, lots of games going on. We've got Deadzone demos, try it out, Monster Mash in the middle, all kinds of stuff going on. Talk to Ronnie if you want. Buy him a drink.
I like that.
You know.
But none of those prices.
So let's get some gaming going. Thanks a lot, Ronnie, for joining us in Mantic, North America. All right.